I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I lived there for 25 years. I was born with a very rare genetic disorder called hereditary sensory autonomic neuropathy type 2. A lot of big words that mean something very simple. I have no sensation from my elbows down and from my knees down. Injured myself a lot, led to me using a wheelchair full time and also having pretty significant impairments in my hands. There's unfortunately, and this is true across the entire United States, not a ton of options to do adapted sports as a child, but luckily I had one right in my own backyard, and it was the place that, I really was inspired to dream bigger, and then I realized not only could I be an athlete, but I could become a really great athlete. There's a place called Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Center that is an incredible rehab facility in Golden Valley, Minnesota that takes people who have spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries, all types of disabilities, all the way from youth to adults, stroke patients, and helps them achieve their fullest potential. My time with Courage Kenny, though, was spent in their adapted sports and fitness program. It's where I grew up playing sports. Tried everything growing up: wheelchair basketball, wheelchair tennis, track and field, you name it, I tried it. Courage Kenny was really the vehicle to do that with. They had an incredible group of people who were always trying to get kids more active. Growing up with disability, you're often kind of held in a little bit of a bubble. But I had the sport where I could finally let loose and really get out there and just feel truly alive as an athlete. And they say when you play wheelchair rugby, people either they kind of shy away from the contact or they embrace it. And I definitely embraced it from the start. I was 15 years old, probably weighed 130 pounds. And I showed up and there's guys who played football in college, just big guys, played for 20 years. And they looked at me, this scrawny kid, said, "Do you want to play?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to play." They're like, "Okay." So they threw me into the chair, which I'm always very thankful for. They weren't worried about it. They said, "Get out there, you got this." Threw me in the chair. I started getting knocked around, beat up, flying, crashing, and I fell in love with the sport that night. It was just such an intense, visceral, physical thing where I got to crash into people and knock people around and send them flying. I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. A big thing that my mom always told me growing up is that it takes a village to raise a child. Never just one person who does anything. And I truly believe in my life that's been incredibly true, whether it's with my doctors who've helped me through all my health challenges. I feel so lucky I was able to go to Gillette Children's Hospital as a child. I've been to a lot of hospitals now in my life, and Gillette stands above them all.
We're kind of a small hospital, but we're kind of small but mighty, and we take care of children with a whole wide range of issues, everything from orthopedic issues to neurologic issues. In truth, I think we serve a much broader community too. We're a resource for children with disabilities throughout the country and even internationally.
I had a lot of struggles. There was a lot of unknowns that we didn't know what to do, and Dr. Kevin Walker sat down and said, "We're going to figure this out. We're going to work together. It's not always going to be pretty. We're not always going to get it right, but we're going to work together and get this figured out." And I truly would not be where I am today without them.
One thing we do here is we try to help children chase their dreams or follow their goals. Want each child to kind of write their own stories.
I feel like I've really tried to carve my own path in my athletic career, because between the sport I play being very unique and the disability I have being very unique, I didn't really have any role models who looked like me growing up. And so I've tried to really find ways to be a leader in my own way and to find my own voice and to speak and talk about how important adapted sports is and how critical it is for young people to be involved in and really be a role model so that the next generation of adapted athletes can have a role model who looks like them, like it's me or some other amazing Paralympic athlete.
I think Chuck is a great role model for all of us. The way he lives his life, the person he is, regardless of his ability or disability, he's an amazing young man.
What's this?
A flower.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Are you sure?
I have a lot.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. Wow, I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely. You never know how much impact you can have on somebody until it happens. Therefore, being a mentor is so important for me, both for kids with disabilities, but also without disabilities, to show them that, their disabled peers can do anything. I think the more able-bodied children and kids understand that, the better off our entire society is going to be and the more accepting we're going to be of people with disabilities and finding ways for them to be active and engaged in society.
For many of our patients, they have their own stories, and so every day we're trying to help young people and help them and their families, help them identify their dreams, help them write their own story. It's kind of like paying it forward. I feel like Chuck can affect a lot of lives out in the world, and if I've been able to help him in some small way, that's just really rewarding for me.
The reality is what's happened to you has happened, and you can't control that anymore. But what you can control is the next thing you do, the next step you take, the next action you take to making your life a little bit better. And I think that's something I try to impart to people. And like I said, accepting the emotions that come with being disabled and the challenge that comes with, but also knowing that there's so many opportunities that exist for you out there. You just have to be willing to go out and take them.